Hello, fellow classmate and instructor Sunandre. So when I first came to America, I was actually 3 grades behind because I was in a public school where the education system wasn't really good. And when I was in high school, I didn't do great in my writing and science. I was reading about Shakespeare, people that I didn't know and wasn't able to relate at all. That all changes when I went to a relevant learning or a theme-based class, which was English focused on poverty and medicine. As a person living in a developing nation, I experienced what it's like to be in a world where the medicine or education is only for the privileged. I want to talk about the importance of relevant learning and how that affected here at TCC and how that helped me achieve my goals here at TCC. So what's the problem? We know that our education system right now is test driven, which means that you go into a classroom, you take as much note as you can, remember as much things as you can, and then you take it in a test. My professor described it as swallowing as much information as you can, and then regurgitating it during an exam. One of Alihanti 2012's article states that US spends about 800 billion on education alone. And comparing that to Canada, which spends about $65 billion in their education, their 15-year-old is a year ahead in our math. And especially in writing and science, they are a year and a half. So how does this impact you here at TCC as a student? We basically invest so much money and time. Me personally, I am $10,000 in debt just because of education. And I want to make sure that every class that I take, that I'm actually gaining information that I'm actually interested. I surveyed a lot of different categories here. So I started with a professor. I gave a survey to the professor, TCC student like yourself. Some of you took my survey. Also, my friends from a four-year university, and also some of my friends in high school. Basically, I asked them questions, and some of the questions are this. The first question is, have you heard of relevant learning classes? Out of 16 interviewees, 2 said yes and 14 said no. Basically, 81% here in our community don't even know what relevant learning is. Moving on to this last question was, do you think that our school system is too focused on grade number instead of the development of our children? And 13 people said yes and 3 people said maybe. Majority of the survey agreed that our education is not focused on our student, but instead they're focused on the number and the grade number and testing. So my solution is, of course, to implement relevant learning, encouraging classes, helping instructors for instructor development, to encourage them by redesigning their curriculum. So TCC is actually one of the campuses that are moving forward to relevant learning. Just this quarter, we have an English 101 combined with Sociology 101. And I have experience going to a relevant learning, like I said previously, which is a theme-based class, English that's mixed with social justice and poverty and medicine, and also Native American. Another information part 2008 noted that relevant learning is very complicated. And teachers are most often hesitant because they have to start from the bottom up. Teachers have to work extra hard to create a curriculum that actually connects to the students' lives and being able to teach the curriculum at the same time. I feel that as a teacher, you want to make a change in your community and you're teaching the next generation. It's not a question of if, it's actually here. Based on Alihanti 2012, we spend 800 billion in art education, and yet we're placed in the 13th place in the retention and graduation rate in the world. I feel that implementing relevant learning in not only in college system but in the public school, we can help fix the education system here in the United States. Actually, students that relate to their lives. Imagine going into a classroom, calculus or chemistry, hard classes, and actually being excited, information that actually not only relate to your interests, your experience, but also your career. What can you do right now as a TCC student? Most of us here in this course have children and kids. So attend those board meetings. Try to push for education that actually support relevant learning. Voting for candidates in the Board of Education that actually support changes in our education system. And in June 4th, there is a WAXCA conference at Olympia where all of education board will be meeting in one place. They would be discussing about the price of books and tuition and things like that. And you can be part of that and actually support relevant learning and trying to change our education system to be better so that our student retention rate can improve. Education is our greatest asset. Nobody can take it away. It's something that we'll have forever. So it is good that we invest on it, but we want to make sure that our investment is worthwhile. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.